So, Chelsea, this is the first time we meet, and I am very curious. My impression so far from your social media is that you facilitate work between the masculine and feminine. And I remember seeing a story that excited me, something about the feminine surrendering to the masculine, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I'm very curious. What brought you to this world of personal development?
Such a big question. Well, in 2018, I was actually working in a corporate job, and I was a product manager, and I got this ping to move to Bali. And so I quit my job, moved to Bali, and basically started from scratch, started over, and gave up my whole corporate career.
How old were you when that happened, the thing?
25. Yeah. Yeah.
How old are you now?
33.
My age. Cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it was it was a really big life moment. And then I was sitting across the table from a woman who was some sort of intuitive reader. And she was like, "You're here to clear the trauma from your ancestral line and reclaim your intuition for all women." And so it just started me down the path of working with women initially, and then it became...
Wait, when she said that to you, what came up in you?
I got full body chills, and I was like, okay, yeah, this is meant to be. And I traced it. It took me a while to uncover what she meant by that, but I just knew there was something that I needed to explore. And it was almost like a little thread. And then I started following the threads from there. I was like, okay, this is leading me somewhere. I have no idea where it's leading me, but I'm in full trust. I'm in the mystery. And then it led me to Tantra and working with couples and doing...
So already you had a degree of ability to surrender to what is and following the signs.
Oh, no. I resisted it hardcore in 2018. I was like an ultimate planner. I planned out my day in 15-minute cycles. I planned everything. I scheduled my whole life. I was in probably the most masculine frame that you could possibly imagine. I was working at IBM wearing business suits to work every day. And I was completely not expressed in my sensuality. I was super repressed in so many ways. I was going to the gym every single day of the week at 6 or 7 in the morning, cycling. I would do blast. I would go to I was on ClassPass. So I got the badge for 500 workouts within a few months. And I was like, yeah, this was my life. So it was not easy moving to Bali and starting from scratch. It was literally the most challenging thing, and I had to decondition my entire programming.
Yeah. So Rachel, the way that you laugh and laughing now, I have a sense you can relate to it in some way.
Yeah.
Tell me more.
I'm still very much in my masculine.
Yeah. How does it show up for you?
Because I'm in the manager part of me, and I just keep planning things and working on things and just doing business and going to the gym and hustling. So that's how
You want to hear something really, really vulnerable and edgy to share?
Always.
Right before I moved to Bali, I fell in love with this guy. I was super into him, and he said, "Kissing you was like kissing my little sister."
Oh God.
And that was when I knew. And we did have a deep sibling dynamic. It turns out we probably had past lives as siblings, but him sharing that with me was a wake-up call that I was I need to reclaim my sacred sexuality, my femininity, my erotic nature, my sensuality. And it really inspired me to go on a whole journey.
No, I was going to sign up.
And this is quite the time because we just had this conversation on a podcast, I think 2 days ago or yesterday it was.
Really?
Exactly about this pattern, yeah.
Oh, which one? The feminine, masculine?
Like reclaiming your power and aliveness and sexuality.
Yeah.
Because I'm blocking it. I'm not connected to my life force right now. Yeah.
It's so big and so important. And I actually think most women in the world, not even just America, for sure in America, but in the world, are just brought up with, like, our whole society is masculine. So, like, of course we grew up like that. Like, we had to survive. It was literally how we were brought up. And I think now, as women are starting to become more connected to spirituality and feel safe to feel emotion, they're also becoming more connected to their feminine nature. And there's so many layers to what that means and like how that evolves.
100%. And to reiterate what you're saying, masculine paradigm is protection. So because the level of awareness of the consciousness is rising, it becomes safer to a degree for the feminine to come out, because there's more understanding of why things are happening and there is more awareness. Do you align with that?
Yeah. Even just thinking back to like World War I, World War II, it's like there were so many necessities for like men to be the protectors. And then as soon as women couldn't even have bank accounts until the 70s. So it's like when women started working, it's like, I mean, imagine if you're in a marriage and your husband is controlling everything, all of the bank accounts, like all of the financials, the resources, like whatever he says goes. And it can be really easy to just lose sovereignty, like lose choice, lose personal power. And it's like sometimes we have to go to extremes of like reclaiming what that means, which sometimes means going so deep into the masculine to be like, I got me, to then come back and be like, yeah, I've got me. And also I can be in my feminine. And that is such a journey to be able to actually feel safe and also be in the feminine essence.
Right. So to know that the masculine can be embodied and I can reach safety and then step into vulnerability in the right steps.
Yeah.
So where I feel like I'm stuck is that I don't feel safe. I still am fighting like hell to survive in my head. Right?
And it can show up in so many ways. I'm curious how that shows up for you. Like for some women, it's like the financial security. For a lot of women, it's actually emotional security. Like if I feel too much, I might not be able to hold it or handle it, or I might collapse.
It shows up, I think, in all these ways.
Yeah, and everyone
very severe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now Neo is here, so I'm kind of like acclimating, letting him do things for me, which has been weird, but I'm doing it.
Beautiful. I love that.
And by the way, Chelsae, I love your curiosity so much in the presence. It's very beautiful to me, so much appreciated. So let's go back to you got the ping, you felt the chills, and then what?
During that story? Oh yeah, so I was sitting at this cafe in Bali, and I was sitting across from this woman, and I felt chills all over my body. And at the time I was living with my partner. We were living in Ubud together, and we had a co-living space. So we would host travelers at our place. We had like a really big place, and we would host events there. And it was just our way of building community while we were traveling. And I remember crying almost every single day and feeling like I had given up a job where I was making a lot of money. And I was like pretty set. And
I'm confused. When did the decision to quit the job happen?
Like a couple weeks before this conversation with the woman at the table in Bali.
And what led to that choice?
I had wanted to quit my job 9 months before I actually did it. And it was a lot of going back and forth and making lists, and it was logical. And honestly, I was just scared. I just had so much fear. I was like, what am I going to do? I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what I'm going to, like, what am I going to do when I quit? I'm going to be like not having resources, and I just couldn't. So what I did is I ended up working at a startup accelerator and supporting startups. And I was like, okay, like this is going to be a transition moment. And finally I reached this place where I was like, well, I actually created a huge event for one of these startups, and it was in like the Mercedes football stadium. And we took a celebration trip to India. And when I was in India, I met a group of people that were all traveling, and they were all nomadic, and they were entrepreneurs. And I was like, how are you guys just traveling the world as entrepreneurs? And they were like, we just are. Come meet us in Estonia next month. And I went home. I quit my job. I sold all of my things, or I put it all into storage. I didn't actually sell it.
Wait, they told you come join us, and at that moment, Estonia, immediately, okay, I'm gonna quit my job.
Yeah, it was an intuitive knowing that I needed to do that. It was an intuitive knowing.
This is like, quite the leap of faith.
It was quite a leap of faith.
God damn. Okay.
I mean, it was time. Like it was time.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I mean, this was years ago. So you're asking me questions where I'm like pulling all of these things. I'm like, oh my gosh. I feel like I've lived so many lives since this moment.
Makes
so
sense.
I'm like, but yeah, I was invited to Estonia for Mind Valley University. So I went to Mind Valley, and I was in a room of like 1,000 people, and everybody was a coach. And I'm like, oh my God, these are my people. Like, and I knew I wanted to be a coach. I just didn't think I could do it until I was in my 50s. Like I had this, because this was this was in 2018, and I was just like, I didn't know anything about this industry and this world. Like I really had no idea that you could be a coach.
Yeah, but I heard you say that if I understood correctly, when you quit your job, you had no purpose. Like you didn't know where you're going.
Yeah.
So when did you understand that you want to be a coach?
When I knew I wanted to be a coach at IBM. I just didn't know I could do it this soon. Like I thought I was going to do it when I was in my 50s.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just like, I really don't know what's next. I didn't know it was possible. And I had a lot of fear around like taking the leap of faith. And so
congratulations for doing so. Here you are.
Thank you. I know, right?
Who would have guessed?
I'm so glad I did. It changed everything for me. It wasn't just about quitting the corporate job and going to Bali. It was a journey of self-realization. And for me, it was like discovering the meaning of life, like why we're actually here. And I would not have done that working in that corporate job. I was so miserable, and I knew every single day that I showed up to that job that it was getting me further away from where I wanted to go. And so, and so when I was in Estonia and I was at Mind Valley, I was surrounded by all these people. And on the last day, they were like, we're heading to Barcelona next. And I knew, I was like, okay, this is going to be a thing. And they rented a huge place. It had like 15, it could host 15 people. And so they created an entrepreneur house. And I was like, I'm coming. So that's how I officially like jumped in. And I was like, okay. And then from there, then I met a man while living there. And we were like, let's go to Bali. And that's
it was interesting for me how you said, I met and then you're like, wait, man? So what happened there?
Well, I mean, it lasted the time I was in Bali.
Okay.
But he was amazing. I mean, literally, he held me for that chapter of life so beautifully. It was like the perfect relationship, and it was amazing.
Was it like a lovership, or was it like setting expectations with a boyfriend, girlfriend now? Boundaries and all that.
That was my first time in an open relationship.
Oh.
Yeah, we were exploring open relating. We really didn't open relate. We were living together, and like we didn't We said we wanted to open relate, and we really didn't open relate.
It's one of the ability to have the freedom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, I was like, I don't know if I actually want to open relate in general. So it was an experiment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was open to anything at that point in life. I was like, yeah, I'm moving to Bali. I'm quitting my job. Sure, I'll be in an open relationship. Why not? Whatever I was doing before wasn't it. So I'm open.
To whatever comes up, and I'm going to follow my excitement and curiosity and see what happens.
And when I quit my job, I said, I'm going to say yes to everything I want to do this year. I'm just going to keep saying yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then what?
And then I said yes. I said yes to moving to Bali, to being in the open relationship, to all the things.
Mm-hmm.
I said yes to meeting that woman at the coffee shop that gave me that message. I said yes to Burning Man. I went to Burning Man for the first time that year. I said yes to so many things. And that journey was about 6 months. And then I decided to move back to Atlanta. And why? I felt complete. I knew it was time. Like my last couple of weeks, it was almost like I could feel I was starting to really get in tune with my intuition. Like I had not listened to my intuition in my life up until moving to Bali. And I was starting to really understand how it worked. And I was like, okay, this is a whole thing that I had not explored before. And in my last couple weeks there, I was experiencing a lot of challenge. Like my last week in town, I got flung off my scooter into a rice paddy. It was like, we had a huge dinner with like 25 people, and I made this dish, and it was like cutting up all these peppers, and all of my fingers lit on fire, and I literally had to pee on my hands for it to stop burning and soak it in milk. I could not get my fingers to stop burning. I was like, I think it's time to leave. And so I ended the partnership and moved back to Atlanta, and started an ecstatic dance in Atlanta. And I was like, it's time for me to.
And was that the first time you started to make money, not from being in a corporate world?
While I was in Bali, I had a mastermind running, and I had this course called Awaken Your Purpose as I was awakening my own. And I was supporting people finding their purpose because I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with purpose. And I was like getting all of the resources from every possible place. And I was like, and even to this day, it's probably one of my like best skills. Like it's still something that I love helping people find, because I was in that place of not knowing for so long and I was so disconnected from it. It became an obsession. Mm-hmm. So I was making good money back then. So, I mean, it wasn't that, but it was something, and I felt really good about it. I was like, this is a start. And I'm just happy to be starting.
This is fascinating. Did you have any doubts before?
Yeah.
What was the inner chat?
Well, before coaching or before quitting or moving?
The first time you started to make money that is not from your former job.
No, I didn't have any doubts about that. The thing I was the most excited about. I mean, I would say that my biggest doubt was quitting my job and feeling like I would make it and survive. I had this deep conditioning around like how much money I really needed. And I was just like, if I'm not making over $100,000 a year, I'm not gonna survive. I was just like in such a panic, and there was no way. It was so challenging for me to be like, all right, I'm gonna start from scratch. But that was my biggest doubt for sure. But when I moved into coaching, I was like, I had been so obsessed with purpose for so long that I was like, this is the thing that I feel like I know that I can support people with. It was just taking the leap to actually do it. And believing that I could do it at the age that I was, like 25 versus being 50. I had this belief I had to wait until I was 50.
So it's really very interesting for me to see the levels of confidence you already had and this successful mindset.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I don't think I ever doubted my ability to coach. I think it was more my ability to make money not being paid by someone else, like a corporation.
Okay, so Rachel, do you have any curiosity coming up, or should I continue mine?
Yes, but it's more down the timeline.
So down the timeline?
Yeah.
Like further or backwards?
No, like what brought her to Austin and stuff. So I'll wait.
Oh, what brought me to Austin? That's a whole new timeline.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so what I want to do,
Yeah.
I want to understand what the fuck is happening in the system. So I want to go to childhood and say what happened there, and then we'll lead up to your timeline.
Okay.
Sounds good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good. So how was it for you growing up?
You know, a big part of my childhood, I was raised by a father who was a doctor. My mom was a nurse. My whole family was in the medical system. And so all of our dinner table conversations were about...
Were you a single child?
Oh, no, I had a brother who also now is working in cardiology as a PA.
Okay, successful family. Now it starts to make sense to me.
Yeah, super. And my whole life was about achievement. My brother was like a child prodigy, like literally like star athlete, valedictorian, like
golden child.
Like golden child to the max for sure. And so, so that was a big thing for me growing up.
And he was older than you?
No, he was 2 years younger than me.
Oh.
And I had friends that had crushes on him, that wanted to date him. Like, but when I graduated high school, he had a mural of his face on the school wall. It was extreme.
How did it feel to grow up next to your brother like that?
I developed a wound around being seen. Like, I had a really hard time being seen. And, like comparison was a huge thing for me. So I always like admired my brother. I always like, he was so wise at such an early age. And like once I walked into my political science class, I think I was a senior in high school, and my brother was teaching my teacher how to trade in the stock market. And I was like, whoa, is this a joke? Like, are you kidding me right now? I was like, so that was my childhood. And
so I assume that there was a sense of competition to a degree between you two?
He never felt competitive with me, that's for sure. But I felt a level of jealousy because my relatives would call and they would say, "Hey, how's your brother doing? I just saw him in the paper." And one of them said, "What was your name again?" And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. It was a big deal. And I talked to my mom about it all the time. And she's like, "No, they know your name. She just forgot." So yeah, growing up, he never was competitive with me, but I felt jealousy. And like I was never doing enough to be seen. So it was like a huge wound that got
never
developed.
Good enough?
Yeah, I was like not good enough, and I feared then being seen. It was like a fear that I developed.
Because if you were to be seen, what could happen?
Yeah. And
well, what could happen if you were to be seen?
I don't know. I think it would take the spotlight away from him. And yeah, it could put me in a vulnerable place.
What would someone see if they look?
Back then or now?
Back then.
I think a woman who was really insecure and didn't have a lot of self-love and was trying to be popular and compared myself to my brother all the time. And almost like scared of not being loved or worthy.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
And it makes total sense to me that you'd experience that when you have this golden child that people are looking up to. And then if I was in your shoes, I would probably experience myself being kind of in his shadow.
Yeah. Yeah. And that manifested later in life with a lot of the men that I've dated. So yeah, it continued, like that shadow actually was from my sibling dynamic. Yeah. And with my parents, my mother she had bipolar disorder. And so growing up, I felt like I had to organize a lot and kind of like almost like help her. At first, my whole childhood was about having my mom work out and get into taking action. So when I first started this journey, part of the reason that I would have 500 class passes is because I had this belief that fitness was the key to mental health. And I really wanted to support my mom with mental health. And she was my biggest motivation for doing life coaching. Like, I spent so much of my childhood supporting my mother, helping her, like, just feel healthy and feel like she has energy, because she would sleep most of the day, like most of the day. And she stayed up a lot at night. She had insomnia. So she was kind of switched, partly because of her nursing schedule. So that was a huge motivation for why I got into the work. I really wanted to support her. And later on, it became way, way more clear how I could actually support her. At first, it was a lot of like pushing her and being like, Mom, come on, you got this. And like motivating her to work out, get off the couch, do something. And later it became like really giving her love and giving her a safe space to open up about her childhood and the things that she experienced and the trauma
when was that
she
shift?
Went through.
What age?
For her?
For you, that shift of consciousness to stepping into trauma perspective and being able to see her in this dimension.
When I was 25, I was still, I was really only focused on mentality and mindset. And then maybe a couple years later, as I started doing ecstatic dance, I started going into the body, going into somatics, going into like really getting into the feminine. And then it started going into deeper layers of understanding trauma and understanding the body and how trauma is stored in the body. So, I mean, it's been a progression. Like almost every single year, it's becoming more and more and more and more clear that some people actually just need to like face the trauma, and sometimes the disorder is clear because of that. And so
once the light of consciousness reaches the darkness and the awareness comes there.
Who would take care of your mom if it wasn't for you?
I don't even know if she needed taken care of.
So what was it that like made you feel responsible in the way that you did?
I just grew up. It was a conditioning from when I was a kid. I always felt like maybe the roles were reversed. Like I grew up kind of feeling like I was her mother, and she obviously she was an amazing mom. She was unconditionally loving. She was so amazing. And at the same time, because of her depression, I felt like I needed to support her to be happy.
Yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my dad was pretty like hands off. He's like, whatever she wants to do, she wants to do. It's her life. And he took a more like sovereign approach. He just didn't get involved.
How did it feel for you as a girl, taking care of your mom and seeing your dad kind of not?
I didn't ever connect the dots. Like I thought I think he did what he needed to do. It was more like if I didn't do it, nobody would. So I took the action to do it. Like I never felt like it was my dad's fault or anything. Like he was just focused on his stuff, like doing his thing, and he didn't take responsibility for it. And I think I never blamed him for that. I was more just like, okay, then I'm going to save the day. And I was in this like savior dynamic for a long time. Yeah.
I can relate a lot with my mom, so that's why I'm being curious about it. So.
What are the patterns that you relate?
That I am the mom in the dynamic, and it's my responsibility, and if I don't do anything, no one else will, and everyone like turns a blind eye, and then it's all on me.
Yeah, and that can be scary too, because it's like, well, what if she doesn't get support? Could it get worse? Would I lose her? There's all these things that come up, and so, yeah.
It's also the mental health aspect of it.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it can be a really good motivator. And then at a certain point, sometimes like love and compassion is the best medicine. Yeah.
I also told the little girl that had to become a mom.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And Rachel, with you, there's a difference there, right?
What do you see?
I'm assuming...
my mom wasn't, she abandoned me. But yeah. And the mental health thing was very heavy. Like it's kind of like hot, cold, abandonment, so.
So with you, it was pretty much the opposite of unconditional love.
Yeah.
And how was it for you when your dad wasn't as in the picture, or was he?
He's not in the picture. He doesn't want to get involved. And it's hard because it puts the responsibility on me. And he's not doing it on purpose, but at the same time, I have an expectation from him to be the adult, to be the parent, and not let me step into parenthood.
Yeah.
So that was my expectation from him many times.
So this is part of the reason why it is surprising for me that in your system there was no expectation from other people, your brother, your father, to take on the responsibility of being the caretaker of your mom, and then you just took it on yourself.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I think it was just a natural instinct. I have a feeling it has to do with some past life dynamics, but I really don't know what the seed of that was. I know that my brother and I both talked about it all the time together. Like we grew up like super close, and we were always like, she's always sleeping. What do we do? And my dad was working a lot. So he didn't really have as much, I don't know, maybe not as much awareness, but my brother and I were really like aware, and we would always talk about it. And she also didn't eat very healthy. So we developed like super healthy eating habits super young. And we were like, Mom, like, I don't know.
So, and how was the relationship with your mom and dad?
I think good. Looking at it now, I can see codependency. Like growing up, they were great. They were just super supportive parents. And like the more that I get into the dynamics of codependency, the more that I can really start to unpack the anxiety that my mother has, and the avoidance that my father has, and the trauma bonding that can come up, and the codependency cycles. Like growing up, they didn't fight in front of us, so I have no idea what they experienced. But they seem to be, my mom always says constantly, like, I love your father. He's the best thing in my life. Like she just always, she's always expressing love.
Praising him.
Yes, constantly. And my dad's always like in his office doing his own thing.
And was there any physical affection that you've witnessed?
No. They didn't have physical affection. So she always wanted more affection, and he was always like, no. So yeah, growing up, like I knew that, and that had a huge impact. And my father also never said the words, I love you. So
To anyone?
No, he never said the words to anybody. So he grew up in a really Eastern European family. And so, like, they don't smile in photos. They don't say the words, I love you. Like, my grandparents were also quite cold in that way. Like, they were so loving, but, like, not affectionate.
I know it. My mom is Eastern European, so I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's cultural. It's part of it. Yeah. And my mom is Italian, super loving, super open, like just constantly showering everyone with affection. So I think she was also quite depleted in a way. Yeah, even though she expresses that she's so in love and so happy, which is great. I'm so happy that that's her perspective and the way that she continues showing up, and she's in full acceptance around it.
And so there is no "I love you." Was there any "I'm proud of you"?
Part of me?
Proud.
Oh, proud. Yeah. He would say that. He would say that. It was like he was very achievement oriented. So like, I'm proud of you. Yeah. Like, but he was more proud of my brother.
Oh.
For sure. Yeah. He would go to all of his gymnastics meets. My brother ended up going really far in that. I was also a gymnast, and didn't make it as far for sure.
I'm assuming that hurt.
Oh yeah, that was challenging. Yeah, I always compared myself to him, and but yeah, my dad was really supportive.
Was it challenging or was it painful? Or both?
I mean, growing up, I felt like hurt often by the impact of other people's acknowledgement and recognition over him. Yeah, it was like a big like sting that I would feel in my heart like pretty often. But also I felt a lot of like celebration for him too. So it was an interesting space because I was like always celebrating him, and then I was like, oh man, like now I need to do something else because I'm not going to be seen. So it was a motivator, but also motivating from a place of comparison and like competition, slightly. He was never competing with me. But for me, it was subtly in the back of my mind, like, now I need to do something else because I'm not going to be recognized.
What would happen if you are recognized?
I mean, I would feel so good. I'd be like, finally. But my mom would always recognize me because she knew. I would tell her all the time. Like, he always gets all the attention. And she'd be like, no, I'm giving you all the attention. She would try. But it was quite apparent. I mean, it was quite obvious.
Yeah. Yeah, I really feel for your little inner child there.
Yeah.
Being in that place of wanting also to be seen and validated and appreciated. And it's also fascinating to me, while at the same time having the capacity to also celebrate the one that there is jealousy towards.
Yeah, he was my best friend growing up. We did everything together. So it was like we were in it together, even though there was that feeling. Yeah.
And Rachel, I'm curious, when it comes to the relationship with your brother, how does that look like growing up?
I was kind of his protector, and he was kind of misunderstood. And that's all I remember. Yeah.
So you are twins, same age?
Yeah, we're twins, yeah.
Oh, you and your brother are twins? I'm obsessed with twins. I love that.
It's the best. I don't think, maybe he was jealous of me because I always had more friends. And protecting switched. Like at some earlier age, I used to protect him. Like I gave someone a kick in the nuts because he made fun of him. It's cool.
You go, girl.
Yeah, and then when I had my like rebellious phase of like, doing drugs, hooking up, then one time he came out of his room with like the gun from the military, and he pointed it at the guy leaving my room. He was like, if you come here again, I'll fucking kill you.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is a
Wait, and that was the first time you saw the protective side of your brother?
Yes.
What an entrance. Oh.
Yes. Psycho.
Things escalated quickly right there.
I didn't even know this. Like, he told me this. Like, he told me this many years after.
No way.
Like I would buy a hookah, right, and I would hide it, and then it would go and it would break the vase, so I can smoke. Like just subtle things, but we had a lot of love, a lot of laughter. We never fought, so no, jealousy was not a thing.
Yeah, and when you said that he broke the vase of the hookah, again, I felt some tenderness because that's his expression of love towards you and care.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I'm gonna call him.
Oh, that's so sweet. Oh, are you guys still in connection?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very close. Yeah.
Oh, good. I love that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are you in connection with your brother?
Yeah. We're not as close. Well, we're close, but he got married 7 years ago. He has 2 babies. He bought a house. He's about to sell it and buy a new house. So he's fully wrapped up in his life.
Is there still jealousy?
Nice one.
It still comes out. Yeah. He's also the top cardiologist at his practice.
Oh my god, how dare you?
How dare you be the best again?
But hey, it's totally natural. It's totally natural. Like it's welcome. It makes total sense.
So funny. He married his high school girlfriend, so he never had to go through any breakups, any relationship challenges.
Oh my god, like a golden retriever.
No, but
see,
it's not the best then.
He'll get one.
If he had the dog then, but
and a white fence and stuff.
Yeah, he does have the white fence, but he's selling the house.
I hope he gets
I'm gonna go there
house.
painted in black someday just for you. And then I'll take a picture and see it's not all white.
Oh my god, so funny. Yeah. No, he's I think he's just very intuitive and very wise, and like he just, I don't know. He must have spent lifetimes as like a monk or something, because he has great karma.
I wonder what was his experience growing up. Maybe he was pushed into achieving. For some reason, you know.
I would be curious to ask. I asked him that one time, but I don't. He's not. He doesn't go deeply into emotions in the same way. Mm-hmm. He's very achievement focused, so he's very simple. He'll just be like, yeah, it came up sometimes, or you know, he doesn't really make a big deal out of anything. So he's just like pretty chill. Yeah.
So I'm curious.
What are you feeling right now?
I'm actually just really curious if he's had some past lives as a monk, because I don't know how his karma is so clear. I'm actually just shocked. It's an assumption, though. You know, he has challenges.
Okay, so when you say positive karma, you mean that it seems like his life is just flowing so easily. He gets whatever he wants.
Yeah, and actually, ironically, every guy that I've dated just seems to be that way. Like, it just, somehow, it's just like their life is just taking off, and I'm just like, everything's so easy.
What do you think it's coming to reflect for you?
I mean, probably this dynamic, because it was a pretty big, you know, thing growing up. It was like it was very clearly in my life. So, yeah, it's.
So, you know, in my world, my experience, when I experience sometimes jealousy, let's say there's a spectrum of darkness, right? I'm not good or bad, right? Sometimes there might be some desire to revenge. Are you aware of any of these parts in you coming up? Or no?
No, I don't think I have revenge. It's more, it's genuine celebration and the desire to be seen by him also, and to be acknowledged by him.
What would it mean if he acknowledges you and sees you?
That I'm also a golden child. If the golden child acknowledges the black sheep,
it gave me goosebumps.
You know?
It gave me goosebumps.
Yeah.
Do you tell yourself you're the golden child?
No. I mean, I mean, I'm a golden child in a different way. Like, I had been to like 18 countries before my brother went to like 1. So like we had a different path, right? Like I got to travel, I got to, awaken spiritually and go on this huge journey of self-realization and understanding the meaning of life. And I noticed that he hasn't gone on that path, and he's really stuck in the like right and wrong mentality and more of like a Christian programming, which is great. Like, I love Jesus, but it's a different
paradigm.
It's a different paradigm. Yeah. He hasn't really awakened to what it means to become God and like really step into a different meaning of life. So yeah, it's just different. It's a different path. Like, it's easy to take the comparison and just be like, oh my God, but all of that led me to doing what I did, and I needed to do that for my journey, even if it wasn't at the same time as his. Like, and all the relationship challenges that I went through, and the career like evolution, and I like, that's my path. I'm meant to be doing this. I'm meant to be teaching and coaching on like this relating and all of these things that I had to learn through experience and embodied wisdom and messing up and getting back up and figuring it out. And he's on a different path.
Yeah. So I want to honor and take a moment to honor the part in you that perceives herself as being the black sheep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also appreciate the other part you just spoke and gave the whole reasoning to why it's okay to be the black sheep, because it led you to your path and your purpose. Then you're helping others in their journey. Also hearing that. And I'm a little bit more curious about the part in you that perceives herself as the black sheep. Yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely the black sheep. My everybody in my family is like, I don't know who you're related to, but like, why do you want to go to Bali? Like, why would you want to quit a job that's paying you so well? Like, what part of you wants to like have your own business? And like where do you get this from? And so none of my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, like nobody in my family has this stuff, like any of this sort of entrepreneur. I think that a lot of them do have an entrepreneurial spirit. But I don't think they had the conditions to be able to explore it. Like, given the way that they grew up, I was so freaking fortunate to grow up the way that I did. Like, privileged is the word that's even coming through in this moment, where I was like, my dad, his parents literally got off the boat from Europe and like didn't know English and had to like start over in America and like find jobs and like become like escape war, And so my dad like really made sure that he built a life so that his kids could have the life that they want. And I'm so grateful and so like, yeah, it's such a blessing to be able to live in this time right now in the world, to be able to do the stuff that we can do. And like, yeah, I'm not taking any of it for granted.
100%.
Like, I'm living it to the max, and I want to be able to give back in that way, in the same way. Like, that's why I'm so motivated to do what I'm doing. Like, I want to be able to provide this for my children in that way. My motivation's totally different, but
yeah. So I'm hearing also looking back at my parents and how they grew up and all the shit they've been through. I also been through some shit at the same time. Comparing to my mom's past, I'm fucking blessed.
Yeah.
And is it okay if we get very vulnerable?
Totally.
Are you
Good.
feeling comfortable to have this conversation?
Yeah.
By the way.
Is it for me? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Good. So my curiosity is going towards more of the vulnerability and the pain. And what I'm experiencing is like we kind of touch on it, and then another part comes up and talks about the positive stuff. Do you relate to what I'm saying?
Yeah, can I speak openly as well?
Sure.
I also hear, that part that said that you're privileged to go through whatever you went through, and it feels like kind of like maybe you're feeling bad to even complain or even say something, something less than perfect about your childhood, which I do it all the time. They gave me a roof over my head, they had food, I didn't, nothing was missing. But my felt experience as a kid was terrible. I felt abandoned, unseen, all these things. And at the same time, my parents were parenting. They were providing, food and water and shelter.
Yeah. I think there's a term in psychology for this too. It's like when you recall the past, you tend to skew for the positive. I have that 100%.
Exactly.
For sure. And I totally know that. It's almost like when the past happens and I've come into acceptance, it's like I forget the pain.
And this is where my curiosity goes to the pain.
I'm open to it. I'm open to going into it and exploring.
And if it's too much, let us know. I have a tendency to go very deep, and sometimes it can be too much. So
are you Scorpio?
No.
No. Okay.
Oh my god! If you were to say yes, I would be like,
Now it makes sense.
Yeah, and Rachel, thank you for being the balancing act to my intense curiosity. So the black sheep part. Can I speak to the part directly?
Sure.
Okay, so are you there, the black sheep part?
Am I in the black sheep experience?
Are you the other part that has experienced that or perceived herself this way?
I perceive myself as the black sheep.
Try to embody.
Yeah.
Embody it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just let it speak through you. Don't think about it. Just.
Okay.
So how is it for you to be the black sheep?
Yeah, there's a part of me that feels like excluded. Like that's the word that comes up. So I have like a real sensitivity around exclusion. There's a part of me that feels, it's not like the phrase that comes to mind is like, I don't belong, but I don't feel that in my family. It's more like I'm different and I can't relate or they can't relate. I think a few years ago, it felt really tender and I can go back to those places. Right now, I feel like I'm stepping into a new layer of service. And so I'm going to rewind a few years because I think that black sheep feeling was intense. Like, especially having my mother's voice and my father's voice. My father's voice was like, are you going to be able to survive on your own? And my mother's voice was like, can't you just go back to your job? Constantly, doubt, fear. And so there was this feeling of they don't get it. They don't get me. How am I ever going to explain the plant medicine experiences that I had? And I tried one time and it was a disaster. I was like, I'm not doing that again. It was like, at least until I've integrated more of me to be able to share it in a different energy. I think, a few years ago, there was this feeling of almost like being judged for not having a big 401k. You know, there was this feeling of being like, almost like a huge voice is actually my grandfather's of like, you know, you set up your whole life, you had everything and you gave it all up. You know, this feeling of like disappointment. That was huge. Like, oh, I disappointed my grandfather. Like, oh, I couldn't be like, in his eyes, I was the golden child. So that's why I was like, so he was the one that I was like, oh man, his perspective really matters because he sees me, like he really knows. And so,
and how is it to be truly seen this way?
I mean, I ended up going to the University of Georgia and moving from New York to Georgia to be closer to them. So it was a huge thing for me. Yeah. And I think the black sheep was also my way of being seen as in a different way.
It's a strategy then.
You know, it's like, well, if I can't do better in this world, what about that world?
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it was kind of a way to differentiate. I think now that I, you know, it's been like, I mean, not a decade, but it's been a long time, 8 years. I would say, I feel more in service. Like I called my dad the other day and I'm like, Dad, I know you just retired last month. Like so exciting. When you're ready, you want to talk about what happens after you die and the meaning of life, let me know. And I started opening up all these conversations. He's like, I don't think I'm ready for that. And I was like, okay, that's fine, but I'm always here when you want to talk about it. And then with my with my mom, and I'd send him videos of like fasting because he's, you know, really into health, and you know, sometimes the video would be tied to Joe Dispenza, and I'd be like, well, then watch this one next, and you know, it can be a stretch. I feel more like I'm in service. I don't feel like I'm as much of the black sheep. I feel like I actually turned the health industry on its head and figured out what they didn't figure out. And I feel like I'm providing, like at the dinner table, I used to feel like I can't relate. They're talking about like naming all the pharmaceuticals, you know, that don't work with which pharmaceutical. And I'm just sitting here like bored. And I'm like, I don't know. Like talking about, it's like the show House and my kitchen table. Like, you know, it was a thing growing up. Like this is how my family just talked about like diagnoses and which medicine and finding the root cause of whatever. But now I feel like I can finally relate to that from an emotional lens and a psychosomatic lens. And I don't feel like the black sheep anymore. I feel like I've integrated the whole journey that I went on, and I actually am adding so much more to the conversation that they never studied and they never knew. And it's like still not widely accepted in the healthcare world. So yeah, it's taken a turn, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was happy to hear that that part in you that has the black sheep perspective of herself has got some appreciation. She was seen by your grandfather.
Yeah. He's the one who really, since I was like 2, since I remember, he's always been my biggest fan.
And seeing that dynamic, now it makes more sense to me how come you were able to also celebrate your brother even though there was that jealousy. Because in my perception, something didn't make sense. So I'm like, it's either she's unaware of it or in denial of it, because it's just how humans work, in my perception, like principles of the emotional system.
Yeah.
Right. But now when I hear about your grandfather, I'm like, okay, now it makes sense to me.
I love that perspective.
Explain to me.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, you know, there's a spectrum of darkness, and you can call it pain and trauma, right? I'm not judging it. So when I see the golden child and the comparison to the golden child, it will bring up pain. This is also the reason that I asked you, have you ever received I'm proud of you and affection and all that? So for example, if you would have said no, then in my perception, I'd be like, oh, wow, there's a huge blind spot here.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make sense for it to be otherwise.
Yeah.
And yeah, because that sense of revenge, for example, it's a tragic attempt to be loved and to be seen. Even if, at least in the level of pain. So for example, I'm hurting now and nobody sees me. So if I will make them hurt, then maybe they will know me and know my pain and see me. Right? So it's just how humans work.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense though?
100%. I really resonate with that. Yeah. I think if my grandfather wasn't so involved in my childhood, I could see that coming up for sure. But because he made it a point to visit us like every weekend, he would travel all the way from Ohio. And then when he moved to Georgia, like in the back of my mind, I told myself like, oh yeah, they have the best gymnastics team in the country. I'm going there. But also it was like, oh, but my grandpa lives there. I'm going there. So it was a huge part of my decision for moving there, you know. And I think that was a huge part of it because he was so supportive of everything I did growing up. And out of everybody, I didn't mention this part, but when I was, you know, most people get jobs, you know, I had my first job ever was like an ice cream server. Loved it. Freaking loved it. Because I didn't eat ice cream up until that point. And then I was like, I love ice cream. And it was the best. But then I started selling Cutco knives. I was doing like door-to-door sales and I fell in love with it. How old were you when you were doing the door-to-door sales? 18, yeah. Nice. And, well, I mean, it wasn't door-to-door. You set up appointments, but this is just a reference. Like you go to people's houses and you sell them Cutco knives. It's like $1,000 set of knives. I loved it. And I also started becoming a manager. So then I started teaching. I moved to different cities every summer and I started teaching people how to do this. And my grandpa drove down anywhere that I went and he would come and visit me in my office. Wow. And nobody else did. Like he came and he was like, I want to know where you are. I want to know what you're doing. And he came and he visited and nobody else in my family, everybody else's voice was, why don't you get a real job? And he was like, I'm coming to visit you. If my granddaughter's doing something, I want to support it. And I was like,
I'm having shivers right now. Guardian angel, right?
Yeah, he's a guardian angel. He literally was. And I love that perspective because, you know, there's
from your mother's side, right?
Yeah. My mother's side, exactly.
Yeah.
And he, yeah, of course. More on the Italian side. Yeah. Yeah. And he's like, like very Southern Kentucky, like big accent. Like he's the opposite of anyone in all of my family everywhere. Like he's just not, he's also kind of somewhat of a black sheep, we'll say. And so he like really, he got me, you know, he really got it. And he supported me in everything that I did. Anytime I wanted to travel, he's like, all right, just, you know, send me your location. And that way I know you're safe. And no one else would even ask. So he was, you know, I think that also had, to your point, a connection to why I was able to still show up in love and celebration. Yeah.
So I'll give you, by the way, when I had the shivers and I touched my heart when you said about your grandfather, it connected me to the part that was missing that so badly. And at the same time, it was interesting that I didn't feel a kind of a cleansing coming up. It came from a place, I needed that so badly when I was a child. I didn't get it. But now my inner child gets it from my adult perspective. So the shivers were kind of a reflection.
Yeah.
Right? And I also want to give a visual representation of the principle that I was talking about because I cannot articulate it yet perfectly as I would like. So let's say I'm the child and I'm not being seen. My needs are not being met. So let's say this is the middle, this is the light, and this would be the darkness or the pain and the shadow and the trauma, right? So the more I'm not being seen, for example, with comparison to my brother who's a golden child, it would take the system more into the shadow and more into the shadow. And that shadow would use manipulation. And the definition of a manipulation would be to meet a need an indirect way.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the revenge would be a manipulation. The desire is to be seen, but instead of going directly towards it, it will come up in a way that is traumatic and manipulative, in a roundabout way, instead of being direct. So I saw the part in you that I call the black sheep, right? So I saw her, she's going into the darkness. I'm like, okay, but if I look at the relationship with her brother and what she said about the father and the mother, it doesn't make sense to me that in this level of pain, there will not come those dark coping mechanisms. So then I was like, it's either a huge blind spot or disconnect, or there was some kind of a source of light that I'm not seeing yet. And the grandfather is that source of light. So that brought the child more into the middle or to the light. And this is, now it explains the ability to celebrate your brother's success.
Wow, I love this explanation. It's really, really beautiful. It really brings the family constellations all together and the patterning and how it all unfolds. And it really resonates.
Yeah.
Love
I
that.
have a sensitive question.
Yeah.
Is your grandpa still alive?
He is.
Amazing. Okay.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I just
Really
called
nice
him like
too.
this past weekend. For Father's Day.
Beautiful.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting because when I went on that journey and I went to Bali, he was the person that I felt like I was disappointing the most. I was like, okay, like this is the first time where he may not support me. And to this day, I don't think that he fully supports the this alternative of a path. But well, something changed when I moved back to the States, when I came here to Austin. He was like, I'm so excited. Chelsea, I've been on YouTube constantly. Do you podcast? Because you got to start podcasting. And I was like, I do have a podcast. He's like, podcasting is your thing. You got to get on there. Maybe it was for this moment right now to be able to recognize him on this podcast.
Shout out to, what's his name?
Robin Berry.
Robin Bear?
Robin Berry.
Robin Berry. Shout out Robin Berry. Thank you for being the guardian angel of Chelsea and being such a strong light in her life that enables her to be such a light for other people.
Oh, so sweet. Totally.
Yeah. Okay, so we went to the childhood timeline. My curiosity is satiated in that place for now. What typecast of a teenager were you in high school?
I was the girl who was trying to be popular and it was really like insecure. And, you know, I did cheerleading, I did gymnastics. I would say when I was a sophomore in high school, I sprained both my ankles in gymnastics and I had to stop doing gymnastics and competitively. And that was devastating.
I'm assuming you were also very identified with being the athlete and the gymnast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So it's devastating.
Athlete, for sure. Yeah. And I really wanted to try to go to college for it. And of course my brother did. But in sophomore year, it opened a lot of space for friendship. Like before that, my schedule was like 7 a.m. until 4 p.m. school. Then I would do sports from 4 till 6. And then I would go to gymnastics practice from 6 till 9. And then I would do my homework from 9 to 11. And when I quit competitive gymnastics, I was like, I have space for friendship. And up until that point, I was just striving for popularity. And I was like, do I even like these people? No, I don't like them. Like, I want to hang out with people I actually like hanging out with. And so I just like stopped hanging out with all of the popular girls. We called ourselves the Sexy Six. I was like, I do not want. We dressed up as like bunnies for Halloween, all in the same matching outfits. Like it was like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was super cliquey, super bitchy, and I was like, I'm done with this. Like I don't like it. I don't like these people. I want to hang out with cool people. And so I became friends with like these people that were just like so fun and so cool and so like nerdy and like interesting. And I was like, I'm so much happier here. And it just changed everything for me and it gave me fulfillment. It was probably when I learned to love myself, I would say.
How come?
It was like up until that point, I was constantly like striving to be something.
Something else.
Yeah, like striving to be something else, to fit in, to be popular, to be accepted, to be celebrated, probably.
To be seen.
Yeah, to be seen. And now it's like I finally, was friends with people that I was accepted by. And I just.
That's you.
Yeah. That were just way cooler and just more. Yeah, I didn't care. As soon as I dropped the label of popularity, I'm just like, who do I actually want to hang out with? And I was like, I started becoming attracted to different people. Up until that point, I wasn't even dating because I wasn't attracted to anyone because I just didn't like the whole dynamic, and being popular mattered more to me. And so as soon as I let that go, I was like, I'm actually attracted to like totally different people. And it opened up a whole world for me.
When was the first time that you started to have a romantic dynamic with a guy?
Well, what's the definition of that? Because tell you, this guy had a crush on me in second grade and kissed me, and I was like, no. I had a crush on my neighbor from kindergarten until sixth grade, and he didn't like me back, or I was too scared to say it, so I don't actually know.
Mm-hmm. Mm. I have a similar thing. I had a crush from third grade till the last one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's a long crush.
Yes. Painful journey, I'd say, but yeah. I was interested when you said, when you talked about the new type of people that you started to meet.
Yeah.
You also said the word nerdy.
Yeah.
And it seemed to me that maybe when you said that, the highest level of excitement came up.
Totally.
So there you go. So what does nerdy mean to you? And why is it so exciting to you?
That's so funny. I think before that, I was just really attracted to I love beauty, really attractive people that are popular. And I think when I opened up my whole lens, I just liked people who were really eccentric, kind of weird and highly intelligent and just kind of I don't know. Just weird.
It sounds to me like you will. It's like you said with your brother that if the golden boy sees you, then you're a golden girl or something like that, and then that's what you are looking for with the popular kids.
Yeah,
you're looking to recreate that.
To be the
so
golden.
It's interesting what made you say okay, I'm not looking for that anymore. And what about people that are eccentric and intelligent drew you in?
Yeah, I think the whole journey was about chasing validation, chasing being seen. And then it was also traumatizing because my sisters, friendship was a huge part of my life. My mom had these 10 sisters, and she had this shirt, and they all had wine splashes with their name under it, and they all were best friends their whole lives. They had many t-shirts of their faces. And I wanted that my whole life. And I tried, and basically I was finding myself in really clingy, what's it called? Clicky maybe clingy, but cliquey and like just like really emotionally unfulfilling dynamics where all the girls hated each other and they all talked about each other behind each other's backs. And at a certain point, I was like, Mom, did your friends do this? And she's like, no. And I was like, okay, mine do. And at some point, honestly, I just didn't have time to really, I didn't have the capacity to really be with it. But when I left gymnastics, it opened up space for me to actually ask the question, like, you know, I'm a sophomore in high school and it's time for me to develop like friends that I want to, at this time I was like to be in my wedding because my brother had basically met his
high school sweetheart.
His high school sweetheart. No, I don't need water. Maybe I do.
Do you have your water?
Yeah, I do.
I'm choking up here.
I'm choking up.
I really appreciate the vulnerability.
Totally.
Rachel bringing people to that hot sit when both of us are like...
yeah, I know. It's a new hobby.
Lots of questions. Totally. Yeah.
Are you enjoying it as much as we are?
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Checking. Like,
fun digging out the past again. Totally.
We also get to the future.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It's both ways.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was like, you know, I was like, well, who do I want to be in my wedding? Not these people. So, yeah, it was just a choice. It was like this moment where I was like, I don't want to be friends with these women anymore. And I remember when we went back to school, I didn't get lockers next to them. I got lockers next to the people at the end of the hallway. And I was like, I'm just starting over. Because, you know, whoever you had your locker with, it was so like a thing where, yeah, you had lockers. And that was who you got to save your lockers for all your friends and have your mornings together. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm starting over. I'm making friends with totally different people. And then, yeah, and then I did. Like, I started hanging out with, like, the people down the street. Like, I started branching out to some of the girls on my high school gymnastics team. And then I applied for this program called, like, New Visions. Actually, it was called New Visions. And it was at a hospital. So I went to school every day at a hospital. And you had to be accepted to this program, and there was only 12 kids in the county that got accepted, and I got accepted. I literally have no idea how, because I did not think my grades were not good enough to get in. It was literally like a gift from God that I got in, and I made friends with the nerdiest people, and I loved them.
You see, again, the excitement comes up immediately when he talks about the nerdy ones.
When you said nerdy people, I actually hear black sheep.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was the black. Yeah, it's so funny.
Because I was a black sheep in the corner smoking cigarettes, and that was, you know, black sheeps kind of excluded from society.
It's kind of like the misfits, you know?
Misfits, that's the word.
Yeah, the people that are like not really in a crowd, and then all of a sudden it's like something forms out of it. That's magic. For me, it's almost like the void space. It's like when there's a group of people that are all misfitting, somehow I feel that I, like throughout the last few years, I found that my role is actually like bringing people together and being the glue. And I like the void space of like, everyone's a misfit here. Great. Like, I know what to do. I feel excited by that. And I don't know what the nerdy thing is. I think it's like the feeling of eccentricity and like being out there.
It might be a reflection of the part that's judging those people with the voice of like your parents and the part of you that wants to be the golden child.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. So, sexuality. When was the first time that you had a sexual dynamic with a guy? or a girl?
It was either 18 or 19. It was super like later than anyone that I knew, for sure. Partly because of gymnastics. I also I was so, 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. every day. And then on the weekends, I was going to competitions. Wow. 7 p.m. I was, doing stuff, or 7 a.m. And then I mentioned my schedule. It was till 11 p.m. I didn't even have time for like really deep friendships. So yeah, when I left the sport competitively, I had space and time. So it was the first time where I was like, and then I stopped being friends with all the popular people. And I'm like, I'm actually attracted to different people. And so it really opened my world. And yeah, my first kiss was on junior prom. And yeah, I didn't have a sexual connection until I was like 18 or 19 with one of my sales reps. He works for me, which is totally not, you're not supposed to do that. But, I fell in love for that summer. It was like my summer love, my first summer love.
Was there a part of you that looked at your social circle and said, well, all of them are having those sexual interactions with men?
Oh, God, no. I was like a therapist. I was like basically dealing with the aftermath. So I was learning from all of them while they were doing this. I was like, okay, you had sex here, you dated this guy, and now I'm helping you process it all. Like, what went wrong? So my whole thing was more like just emotional support. I honestly, it was just me learning from all of my friends. What is happening here?
And what would you say is your relationship to sexuality was before experiencing it for the first time?
I mean, honestly, I was like a super, I don't know, like I just had a lot of sexual energy from like, I don't know, 5 or 8 years old. Yeah. I just had a deep connection to self-pleasuring my whole life.
From what age? Do you remember?
I don't know, like 5 or 8. I don't really, what? It's not clear. It was young. And I also didn't know that it was like supposed to be a hidden thing. So I don't know. My whole childhood was a bit interesting. I just had a lot of curiosity, I guess. But I wasn't with men. It was with myself. Like I had crushes on men, but I didn't have a desire to explore sexually with men or women. I would just say it was more like me exploring with myself. I was just like, yeah, I know a lot of people have those experiences with like their friends or like, my thing was more like playing spin the bottle, but that wasn't sexual. I was a late bloomer.
So am I. Do you remember your first sexual fantasy?
I had a lot of romantic fantasies. Like, even from, like, kindergarten, I was always living in, like,
Disney
my
movie?
imaginary world of kissing my neighbor who I had a crush on for years. And my sexual fantasy? No, not really. Even my self-pleasuring, it wasn't in fantasy world. It was all sensation. I didn't think anything. It was... Yeah, I know. And that's why when I'm like, in the sacred sexuality space now, right, supporting people in all different areas, a big thing that comes up is like fantasy and like using fantasy for self-pleasure. And I don't think that ever came up like in my childhood ever.
As a teenager?
Maybe. But I think I was so conditioned that not really.
What condition?
Conditioned for just sensation versus like fantasy. Just feeling pleasure for the sake of pleasure. I don't think it was very fantasy based. I would say if it was anything, it was like romantic. Like, oh my gosh, you know, he's going to marry me and then we're going to make love and have babies. It was more that. It wasn't like sexual fantasies.
Yeah. Is it that older?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, I'm going to ask something that's...
Yeah.
What turns you on?
I mean,
Except of nerds, of course. Except of nerds, of course.
Nerds.
It's exactly.
Yeah, just say it. Like, I see this huge red button. Press here if you want her to feel excitement.
Oh, it's so funny. It's a thing.
Lol.
I think it's a thing. Yeah. What? Let's see here. Oh my god. I don't know. Honestly, sensation.
Body sensations?
Yeah,
touch?
body sensation. Like like sensuality, touch, being in the body, being in the space of the no mind. Like, yeah, that for sure. That's probably, yeah, there's this thing called the erotic blueprints. There's this test you can take and it tells you like what your erotic blueprint is. Mine's like fully sensual. And now it's becoming more energetic. Yeah. Yeah. So that mainly, I would say.
Have you ever watched porn?
No, I mean, I've watched it before, but more for curiosity than for enjoyment. Like, I was more just like, okay, what's this? And
oh my god, shut it up!
I was like, why do I want to watch someone else have sex? If anything, I want to watch myself have sex. Like, I was more excited about, like, me being the star versus other people being the star, right? That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, not really. Like, that was never a thing for me. I didn't find it sexy or attractive, or I would say, like, in movies, when it was, like, romantic, then yes.
I'll just say that there's romantic porn. Just so you know, there are movies that are like romantic.
Yeah, I think love turns me on. I think love. Yeah. Feeling like chosen is the biggest turn on. Yeah. Feeling loved is the biggest turn on.
That's hard for Rachel right there.
Like full fuck yes. Like devotion and like love is like
Preach.
That's the biggest turn on.
Yeah.
And you know, I recently heard like women, you know, women are beautiful and they get excited about hearing a man's words, and men are attracted to beauty and will say anything for a woman to be with her. And so my trap has actually been like not falling for the fantasy of the words and just like really tuning into integrity to feel that devotion and to feel that like full choice, not just from what they want to be true, but what's actually true. And that's been my journey. It's like getting out of the fantasy land, getting out of the romanticized version of life and like really seeing it as it is and not trying to live in blind spot land or live in
illusion.
Yeah, delusion. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And step into actuality and truth.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate?
I mean, that's such a big question. I'll speak for like my experience, but there's so many, I think, ways to differ. Are you talking about between illusion and truth? Like that?
Yeah, I think in your experience, what have become abundantly clear that it's a delusion versus how do you know that it's actually based in real life?
I mean, I'll just speak for where I'm at in this point in my life. When a man knows who he is and he knows what he wants, he has the capacity for a relationship. When he is in a deep exploration of who he is and what he wants for his life, it's okay to date. And it's okay to, you know, but there is definitely less capacity. And I found that dating also can just be avoidance to really being with those two questions of who am I and why am I here? And I think when a man is able to really own and be in that, the truth of that, he has the capacity to relate. And for me, like, I found myself really getting so excited by all the visions and the pictures painted and the whole romantic vision of life, and not tuning into, does he know who he is and does he know what he wants to do with his life? And for a while, I found my value by helping him answer those two questions. So I would attract that. So and that's why I'm just saying, for me, that's my key, because that's what I would attract, because that's how I found my value. Like, oh, I'm really good at that. I'm really good at helping people do that. So I'm going to add value to his life. And it was also a trap for me, because that is setting me up for failure, essentially. So yeah, I would say, like, a man who has the capacity to relate because he's actually settled into those questions, for me, is so important. And that kind of, beyond the words, it's like me tuning into my body and feeling the resonance of, well, he says he wants to get married. He says he wants children. How does that feel when I tune into that? Is that true? Does he have the availability for it in his life, in his heart, in the way that he's created his life? Yes or no? And I think our bodies are like the wisdom carriers. Like, they really can tune us in to that. And it's interesting just differentiating and discerning between intuition and conditioning and like trauma patterns. So it's like, it takes, for me, it's been a journey of refining the resonance of truth. This is true. And me getting really clear with what truth feels like, and me being more and more and more direct. Like you mentioned before, like that indirectness, that was a huge part of my life. And just being so direct and saying it as it is and receiving it as it is, helped me refine my ability to discern truth.
I love that. And I can identify that we both share the wanting to be chosen, wanting to be seen one. And I also had many indirect ways to go after the things that I want. And yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, like attracting people that you can maybe fix puts you in a position where, you know, they need you. And then maybe, you know, they will stay. They will, you know.
Yeah, reduces
being in the place
all
of the
risk.
savior.
Yeah, reducing all risk of abandonment or separation. Yeah. It's like the strategies that we go through, and then we have the breakthrough moment where it's like, well, this situation will guarantee the abandonment and the separation. So what's beyond that?
And what is the process that you do with yourself to distinguish intuition and conditioning?
Or projection?
Well, I'll answer that question by saying, like, me opening up my intuition has been a journey since I moved to Bali, right? Like 7-8 years ago now. And it started off with me getting really comfortable feeling my feelings and developing enough tools to be able to self-regulate and developing the capacity to hold the range of emotional expression. And as my range has expanded, my sensitivity has expanded, and my sensitivity has given way for more awareness to the subtle energies. And so the definition of intuition has also transformed over the years to like this subtle refinement of like the energetic space, and really being able to sit with what's true. And, you know, a big part of my sister circles, when I was living in Tulum, was doing truth circles. So we would all sit together and we would do this process called T group, which is like, I feel and my story is. And being able to distinguish the feeling and the story helps get out of projection and out of story. And then also you can feel where there's distortion in the room. You can be like, that doesn't resonate. That doesn't feel right. Or you'd be like, someone's not speaking something because I'm feeling contracted in my body and I'm feeling myself wanting to close or my throat's getting tightened. And then all of a sudden you'd be like, it's there. And you'd be able to feel where in the circle that was happening. And it would almost attune like the discernment and the intuition to be able to distinguish what truth actually feels like.
Have you ever experienced that?
I went to a tea group. That wasn't my experience, but that's okay.
Yeah. So a lot of tea groups, we were really specific on who we invited because sometimes you go to a tea group and it's like people are like lost, confused. It's their first time and it's chaos. It's super chaos. We actually wanted to expand it and we were like, I don't think we're going to expand it. So we kept it our tight circle of sisters that all knew each other, that we were willing to say anything to each other. And sometimes we said things that were like, one time there was a woman that was like, I feel disgusted by you, and my story is that I kind of want to hurt you. And it was like, that's pretty deep. And we unraveled it, and it wasn't like a threat. It was more just like her naming how deep it went. And that actually created a lot of trust between us.
Because there's transparency.
Yeah, transparency creates trust. And also underneath those feelings was something way deeper. And so the deeper you go into the heart space, the more stuff gets freed and liberated, the more truth gets freed and liberated. And that wasn't her story at all. It was actually way deeper than that. There was so much love there, and that needed to just be spoken into and held without collapse. Sometimes when people share the truth, they think that it won't be received well, so they won't share it. And so it's also practicing speaking really edgy truths and just raw, and then being like, okay, we can hold this. And it really developed a lot of trust between the women. And yeah, the tea group, I think it's important to have that level of rawness and realness to be able to...
That was missing. People kept it on surface level, and then I would say something super deep, and people would keep lighting it up, and it didn't feel genuine. And I was like, I told you about this.
Yeah, that definitely happens. Yeah.
For me, the intuition piece, like discerning what is an intuition or a part that's basically trauma informed, like speaking out of fear or something like that. I find what helps me the most is to not, to sit with it and not make a decision. Move through some feeling emotional states and see if that still speaks to me out of intuition, and also check with my parts, what is there a fear here? What's going on? So just kind of exploring my mind around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I resonate with that. Yeah, in human design, I have an emotional authority, and part of it's going through an entire emotional spectrum before a decision really lands. And I think I think it's okay to, everybody makes decisions based on different places. I think at a certain point, with enough practice, the body just almost feels like, I'm just picturing right now this bowl that you hit, this chime, and you just feel that sound moving through your body. It's almost like you can feel when something rings true. Resonance, exactly.
The more she speaks about body and sensations, the more resistance, I feel the resistance to it. And it's crazy because we're having a conversation about me feeling blocked with femininity, aliveness, body. So you're reflecting a lot to me, even just hearing you speaking and your movements and stuff.
We're going into resistance and what?
No, I'm not going into resistance. With you, it's more of I have this little girl part that's in awe, I want that, I want that.
Yeah, I feel that.
I just don't know how, how
to go on the journey.
How to open up like that.
I get that. I really, 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 really get that. And I feel, Yeah, really. I don't know if you're connected to a certain art form. Are you connected to any art form? Like dance, singing, painting?
I have a question for you. I'm curious. When you saw me at the event, what did you, like, what was it like your first impression, feeling, sensation? And it's okay if you didn't notice me, there were so many people there, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, there was 25 women.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny because I put you in the after movie. You're in the after movie. I think you were sitting 2 people down from me in that first exercise. And I think what came through, because the exercise was specifically focused on devotion and presence, I felt availability. Like, I just felt like you were available and able, what's available? Like, available meaning your capacity to hold. We were holding space for the men. Your capacity to hold space for that man specifically was, you were super present and very available for it. Whereas some people were maybe checked out, scared, shut down, or like not leaning into it. You looked super available. We didn't get to have a conversation, but literally just from like looking at you, that's what came through.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a superpower that Rachel has.
Yeah.
To opening that safe emotional container and for the other person to be witnessed, appreciated, and seen.
Yeah, love that. So beautiful.
Thanks.
And that's the feminine. That's the feminine. That is such a feminine quality. Like really being able to see other people and be able to hold, I know holding space is like a masculine, but for emotion, that's so feminine. Like being able to be with emotion when it's coming up, such a big
feminine trait.
Feminine quality. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. For sure.
And how is it for you to receive this reflection?
Like a part has a little bit of like disbelief. Yeah. Yeah.
What does this belief say?
Can it be that you are feminine?
Yeah.
So it's like a too good to be true thing? Too good to be true?
No, it's like
cognitive dissonance?
Yes.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's so funny. We put femininity into this box, like looking a certain way, dressing a certain way, being a certain way. And I think there's so many qualities that are feminine. And it's almost like pulling on a little thread. It's like opening up the quality. And then it's like, oh, wow, there's a lot here. Oh my God, there's so much range in that quality. And that just like opens up more and more of those pieces. And then it starts the process of unraveling like the full spectrum of what it can feel like to be operating in that space. That's at least my experience with it.
Yeah.
Just like pulling on these threads and opening more and more. Especially the reason I asked about the artistry, it's because dance was such a big thing for me. Like I grew up as part of gymnastics, you have to take ballet, and everything was very structured. And I feared dancing in public without structure. I couldn't do it, and I didn't want to be seen dancing. And so my growth was actually the first time I ever did ecstatic dance. I was in Estonia, out in Mind Valley, and this woman, I was actually going around Mind Valley asking every single woman what it meant to her to be feminine. I was like, what does it mean to you to be feminine? What does it mean to you to be feminine? For you to be feminine? And, you know, women were like, oh, it's about softness, or it's about, you know, being emotional and intuitive and creative. And finally, the last person I asked, she takes my hands. And the dance floor was like empty, but there was a DJ playing. And she pulls me onto the dance floor and she says, close your eyes and she just like waves her hands in the air, and her hair was wild, like super curly, and without talking she just like goes wild, and she just started dancing, and she's just like, just get lost in your body.
Chaos.
I was like, okay, and we went into like full like chaos wild woman, and I didn't know what that was at the time, and I just closed my eyes and I was just like, okay, I'm gonna do what she's doing. And like a few minutes later I opened my eyes and the whole dance floor is covered in people, and she goes, this is what it means to be feminine. It's not about anyone else. It's literally about you being so in the experience and just enjoying it and becoming a magnet. And I was like, wow, that is so amazing. I want that. And so that was the beginning of my journey. And
the magnetism. We just talked about it 2 days ago, and Rachel was sharing about her struggle with being magnetizing like other women she sees, and there's this kind of a jealousy, and she wishes she was more of that, and it's a very tender and soft spot. And also, I'm curious, how is it for the part in you, Rachel, that got the reflection of that feminine trait? Because
the dancing?
No, before that. The cognitive dissonance that came up, right? So we can both agree that Chelsae has a super feminine side, right?
Yeah, you just validated it.
Right. So receiving a reflection from her.
I see you as super feminine. Like I see you, because I don't know you. I know you more now, but I don't know you, but I feel like you're the embodiment of feminine from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, and how is it for you to receive that reflection for your feminine?
What feminine?
See?
I know I'm feminine. I'm not this like big artist. Like I'm not hard. I'm very soft. And even that I am like pushed into these very masculine roles, all I do all the time is literally scream out. Like I just want to feel safe so I can lay down my guards and just open. Yeah. But I just don't feel safe. But I do realize, as speaking with you and the things that I'm walking through, it's like my responsibility to establish this safeness and at the same time to open up. Like I don't need a man to give me protection or safe space to, open up to my femininity. I think that's a big landing for me. I just don't know how to do it, but
Well, when you say that you don't need a man, what exactly do you mean by that? To land into the safety?
Because I had it in my head, a big part of why I am actually looking for a partner is that I could finally, lay down the armor and not be in this survival mode, chasing and getting resources and, worrying about every little thing and managing all of it. Then by not having to do that all the time, I would have some sort of a sense of freedom and safety, so that I can actually be that tender person that's really wanting to come outside.
Yeah. So what I'm getting is you're referring to stepping more into your inner masculine, so you won't have the dependency on the outer masculine, so you can have the sovereignty to have the freedom and not being dependent on another man or the masculine.
No, I still want the man.
Okay, good.
Still want that.
Good.
But I don't need to wait for it in order to develop this feminine side of me. I can find spaces where I can allow it. And I can put down my own armor and just...
I would even say that is the feminine part of you. The feminine part of you is so soft and tender and sweet and sensitive and wants to just let it go and be free and lay down the armor. And you're craving for that masculine to be able to give you the permission to do that. It feels like that piece of you is present right now. Like the piece of you that's so feminine. Like the part of you that's so soft and open and receptive.
Yeah.
Do you feel that too?
That's how I perceive my feminine.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's such a good quality.
But it's not free, magnetic, wild.
Oh, the wild woman. Yes. That's expanding the range of the feminine.
Yes.
And I love that. That's so beautiful. Like there's the maiden, like the soft, vulnerable, sweet, and the wild woman, which is like chaos and expression and like ecstatic, like wild, like full, like, full yelling in the wind and all of that. And then there's like the mother archetype, which is so caring. And I feel like you really have that, as well. And then there's like the queen archetype, which is just like sovereign, powerful, like standing in her, in her magnetism and her radiance. And then there's the crown, which is like the wisdom. So it feels, and obviously there's so many faces of the feminine, but it feels like you are feminine and you're asking to expand range. Maybe the wild woman is calling you in this season.
I should go to Vegas.
There we go. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel, can you resonate with the reflection of the feminine, the mother archetype of your feminine side?
Yeah, the mother, the wise one, and the soft one.
Mm-hmm.
I also have the wild, sexy one, but it's just suppressed at the moment.
Suppressed. I think most of society, when women start saying, I want to embody my feminine, what they mean is I want to embody my wild woman. It's almost like the initiation moment of like, okay, now we're here. That, for me, I created a whole event called Rewild. That right when I got out of Bali.
Send it to me so I cannot come.
Yeah, I know, right? That was a huge part of it. My mission for a while was rewilding the feminine. It became like a huge mission because it is the most repressed part in society of feminine. And it's so important because it's really accessing full expression, freedom of expression.
So for that, for example, what comes up for me is a part that's saying, but for that I also need a certain level of safety. And that can be safety in the company of other women.
Yeah, women create that. Yeah. For sure. And when you expand your range and your capacity, especially to go into the chaos, it's also like, will I be safe going to those parts of myself, like rage, anger, like going into like sexuality safely, publicly? Like, is that safe? And I think when there's women supporting women, it creates this innate feeling of like, oh yeah, we're all doing this together. We got each other. And that piece is so important.
Agreed.
Yeah.
So agreed.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So Rachel, I'm curious. Let's say you imagine a parallel universe where the most ecstatic, chaotic, quote unquote, crazy feminine part of you is all out. How would that look like?
Give me a second and check if your mic is still on.
Yes.
Okay. I see like a jungle and
Beautiful.
And I see like wearing like just nipple covers or something from leather or something with like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy wild hair and just like going crazy, like
What does she do, that version?
She runs, she dances, she like screams, sings, whatever.
I love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I feel it.
Mm-hmm. And when you picture that and you look at her, what comes up in you?
Who is this?
Mm-hmm. This is your free, feminine, wild version. This is who she is.
Yeah.
And how is it for you to look at her?
Surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do you feel about her?
I don't know her.
Would you want to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think she would want to get to know you?
No.
Why is that?
Because I'm not magnetic. Because I'm turned off.
Is she magnetic?
Yeah.
Well, she's a part of you.
Yeah.
So maybe you are the soft side, and maybe you guys complete one another.
Maybe.
How does that sound to you?
It makes sense.
Okay. So do you see how...
I feel so uncomfortable. So uncomfortable.
What do you feel in your body?
Uncomfortable edginess, and I feel my body a lot.
Just like filled with anxiety.
Yeah.
Energy.
And is it okay to be in that felt space, or?
Yeah, because I named it.
Okay, good. So do you see how it could be in her best interest for you to connect with her? Oh, you can bring her into softness.
It doesn't feel like she needs anything from me. It just reminds me of the dynamic I have with women that are in their power, or whatever. Yeah, I feel invisible in front of her.
Yeah. And is she aware of your presence?
No.
Would you want her to be aware?
No.
No? Okay. Not right now?
Not right now, no.
Okay.
What's the fear? What would happen if she was in your presence?
It's the fear of letting her out in front of other people, essentially. That's how it feels.
What would give you the safety to feel like you could explore her or meet her?
Sisterhood comes up. So just being around people that I really, really trust, that even if I mess up, it will be okay, and they will not try to fix it, essentially. Something like that.
So accept you as you are?
Yeah.
Without trying to change anything?
I'll judge it. I'll laugh about it. I'll give off any other energy.
Not expect you to be anything different?
So uncomfortable.
Yeah. And what if she could do that for you?
The wild one?
Yeah.
Do what for me? What?
Accept you as you are.
I just feel a big disconnect between me and her. And I'm not seeing the disconnect, so it's weird. Like I see her, but she doesn't notice me, and there's a disconnect. She just doesn't notice me. And maybe it's because I'm scared shitless.
So the disconnect is protecting you.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? What's your relationship to the unknown?
I mean, the unknown scares me.
Like the void space. Like if you were to walk out of here right now and be like, I don't have a plan, and I'm just gonna walk and see what happens. What does that feel like?
So in some contexts, I would do it in small ways. Like I would just go and hunt for coffee shops, just out of my way to just experience something different. But in big life things, fuck no.
Fuck no.
Fuck no. Like, you said you went to Bali, and I have a friend sitting on me like here to come with her to Panama to this festival, and I feel that I want to go. I feel like it's so like something that I can do and can really expand me. But I find all the reasons and excuses why it's not a good time. I don't have the money, and I'm just not going. I'm not living life. I'm not going after it.
Not following the excitement.
Exactly. At all. Like blocking it, like nipping it. It's crazy.
What would be the thing that someone could do or say or help or feel to help you feel safer and leaning into it?
it will always go back to safety with me, and also I feel tangible safety as well. Like, you know, I know it's me. Like, you know, I have a business, I have clients, I don't want to lose the clients, etc., etc. And so I have this like scarcity level that if I not gonna be on it, it's gonna fall apart. And it's the fear itself is way bigger than reality, and this has been tested and proven many times. You know, I went to Thailand, nothing happened. You know, like things, but it's embedded. And I think that the real reason is just I'm afraid to live. I'm afraid to be happy. I'm afraid to have what I want. Like, honestly, afraid to follow the excitement and actually be in excitement and happiness and joy and pleasure and all of these things.
What would happen if you were in excitement and joy and pleasure?
It won't last. It won't be real. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for your curiosity. Let's change the subject.
Reach the capacity with this one?
The discomfort is reaching capacity.
I can tell she hasn't, though.
I know, I have it. Okay, continue.
But we don't have to if you don't want.
I know, it's just that as I'm speaking, I'm noticing new things. And then a part of my system is like, okay, wait, process. You know, like first process. But I'm noticing like this fear of actually being happy. It's not something that I've touched on at all for a very long time.
Joy?
Yeah, joy, happiness, excitement.
What's your deepest motivation right now?
So the way I have it is to do this type of thing, these types of conversations with people. This is what brings me excitement. But again, it's measurable and it's not, you know.
Very controlled.
Yes, it's very controlled. It's not. It's as you notice, it's my environment. Like I have a podcast room here. How convenient, right? I don't really have to go out and search or.
So control motivates you. Being able to have a controlled environment to be safe. It's like a motivation.
I don't know if it's. I don't think that's what motivates me. What motivates me is the feeling of emptiness and burnout that I have in my life from doing something that I'm not passionate about. And this is something that I am passionate about, you know, the therapy, the mind, the spirituality, all of that. And hopefully soon the body.
What I'm seeing, a strong motivating drive force for you is connection. Yes.
So that was my next thing would be to build a community or be a part of a community. And also sisterhood is something that I'm lacking in a very big way in my life. I don't have that circle. I don't have these women that I can 100%, you know, lay my armor and just be. And then the romantic thing, I also do realize that, of course, I want a partner. I want to be loved. I want to love. Like I have all these intensities in me that I want to share. But it is, a part of it is like I'm kind of waiting on for someone to save me. You know, or someone to allow me to be what I want to be, you know, like
to redeem you.
To redeem, to give permission, yeah, all of that. So it's a tough place to be.
That's a huge part of the wild woman journey is the permission to be free. Like really seeking the permission to be able to do what you want to do, and live the desire and say yes. That's why when I left for my trip for Bali, I said, I'm going to say yes to everything I've ever wanted to do for 1 year. And part of it was because of that. I wasn't doing that for so long. I had so much restriction around what I would say yes or no to, even how I would organize my time, my schedule, my food, my workouts, it was just all in restriction. And I got really good at saying no to my desires.
When you said that you left, when you said that you quit your job because you realized, you know, that's not what I want to do, this and that, when you were 25, I was like, damn, I'm still stuck in this paradigm. With all my awareness, with all the work that I do, with seeing the truth, with, you know, being who I am as a person, blah, 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 blah. Like I have like an anchor tied to my leg. Like, why? You know, why? So it's big and it's very eye-opening. So thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of sharing, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it rubs. It's like
passing on the story. We're fractals of each other. Literally, like, I totally get it. I feel like there's so many people in the world that have the same story as us.
Yeah.
It's like really being in jobs that are misaligned, fighting and resisting and going into that battle, and then maybe having that moment of like, I'm done. Like, I'm gonna do something different. And even just doing this here is that step of following desire, like starting to carve out the next path, opening up the door.
You know, coming to that event was the craziest thing I ever did.
Really?
I knew no one. I was like, fuck it, I'm going. And, you know, I applied, and that guy, I forgot his name.
Trentimus or Mitchell?
Yeah, Mitchell, yeah. He was like, yep, you sound on par, let's go. And I went, and I came, and it was super spontanec, but...
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah, I just did it, you know, like, it just came. So there was
what
no
was
problem.
your inspiration behind, what magnetized you in?
To hold space for the masculine.
Yeah.
Because the masculine is, like, taking a toll, like, he's, you know, like, I see some injustice. And I wanted to just be of service.
You need to be of service. I love that. Oh.
And when we sat in the room and you did all the moaning and dancing and shit, I was so triggered. So I was like, who is this person? Why is she like, what? I was rejecting your wild one. I was like, ew.
It was a lot all at once. It was the first activity we did. Like comedian.
What am I doing here?
What's your name? Okay, we're gonna start dancing and breathing.
Yeah. I didn't move, I think. I was just sitting or something. I was
like, why did I come here? Like this kind of thing?
Yeah. And in the ending, too, I didn't dance. I was just, yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing it. I'm trying, I'm expanding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you totally are. Just by saying yes to that event, that was it. That's so big.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you for taking this very strong leap into exposure to the things that are so hard for you to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. You know, I created this company called The Chrysalis, and it's about it's about the caterpillar jumping into the cocoon, into the unknown, melting into goo, figuring out who I am, what am I here for, and then emerging into a butterfly and liberating. And part of this journey of exploration, when they go into the cocoon, we call it the eager explorer. And it's about saying yes and exploring everything so that it's like when you're melting to goo and your old identity dies and you like let go of the past and all the conditioning falls away. It's almost like you're in this cocoon and you're like, well, wait, who am I? And what do I actually want to do? And it's this exploration of like, let me try this. Let me try this. I'm going to say yes to this. I'm going to Panama. I'm going to sign up for this weird event. I think I'm just going to start going to this dance class. And it's almost like this exploration. And part of that's the wild woman. Part of that's like the archetype of the wild woman, saying yes and going on an adventure.
What would you say is the path there?
The path?
If you had to take someone from, like, you know, me.
What's the path?
What is the path that you see for someone to fully open up to the wild side?
What is the starting point?
Yeah, give me the starting point. Okay. Because I'll give you the journey. I'll reverse it a little bit. I'll give a little bit more context. So I had a Kundalini awakening a few years ago, and I downloaded this map, and it was a map of consciousness, and it took 2 years to uncover this map with a group of people, and it's now called the 7 Stages of Consciousness. And part of that was going through these 7 stages of awakening, and I apply it to the feminine journey, the rite of passage of becoming a woman. And you can apply it to anything. You can apply it to men. You can apply it to awakening consciousness. Really, it's this journey of self-realization. And so in the first stage, we call it the dark night of the soul. It's like where you're getting squished on like a caterpillar and you're in protection mode. And it's the state of victimhood. It's the state of like living in survival mode. And it's usually a really deep avoidance. And then we go on this journey of becoming a soul searcher. So the soul searcher is the next part of it, which is essentially looking at all the places we've rejected ourselves and coming into acceptance, coming into self-love, looking at all the parts of ourselves that are still abandoning, that are still saying, like, in this right or wrong, and coming into acceptance and self-love. Then we get to the eager explorer. And the eager explorer is the part where it's the wild woman. The wild woman starts to awaken. It's the part where we take a leap of faith into the unknown and we start excavating all of our conditioning, all of our past patterns, all of our childhood trauma, looking at what's really there, like rewriting all the stories, going on this journey of looking at our parent relationships, looking at everything and answering the question, who am I and why am I here? And then we emerge from the chrysalis and we call this emergence. So the next stage from emergence, and I'll go deeper into the eager explorer, but I'll just give you the map first. The emergence step is essentially where we know who we are, we know our purpose, we come out of the cocoon and we're like, I'm seen for my true self for the first time. Where are my people? Like, I want to build community. I want to be surrounded by people that also just discovered who they are and they're wanting to be seen. So it's the path of intimacy. This is the path of tantra. This is the path of conscious communication, authentic relating. It's like discovering all the things about the full spectrum of the feminine, the full spectrum of the masculine. And then we have the empowered leader, which is essentially the ceremony. It's like going into the ceremony of life and getting tested hardcore into integrity and into deep levels of excavating any last parts of unworthiness and shame and coming into living in full discernment, like living with an open heart and living in full integrity. So it's like the king and the queen. And essentially, it's the phase of moving past resistance constantly. Anytime there's resistance, leaning in and like running through it, like full speed ahead. And we call it also the shadow hunter. All the shadows, just like hunting the shadows and wanting to get to the other side and find the gold, like the alchemization. And then we have the wisdom keeper, which is the sixth of the seventh part. And the wisdom keeper is essentially when we have an awareness of subtle energy. We become really aware of all the energetics. We start feeling everything really deeply in the body, and we become really compassionate because we can feel so much of the collective experience, and there's nothing but compassion and acceptance, radical acceptance. And it's essentially the space of surrender and pleasure, like opening to the pleasure of all of life, like breathing becomes pleasurable, like just like speaking words becomes pleasurable. It's just this feeling of being in pleasure with life and just being in the space of being in enjoyment and pleased with life. Like I'm enjoying the good, I'm enjoying the bad, I'm enjoying what is, all of it. And then stage 7, we call it the humble servant. And I know the word servant is controversial, but in this model, it's really about being in such deep humility and service where, you know, there's this, in Buddhism, there's this, the bodhisattva becomes enlightened and he decides to not leave the planet. He decides to serve, to stay and to serve, to give his gift. And so this is the path of being in selfless service and just giving because you can. And just being in the enjoyment of being human and just giving the gift. You're seeing everything as the gift. And it's the space of stillness and silence. And so that's kind of this journey. And what you're asking, I know that was a lot of this whole spectrum, but I really feel that you're asking about going deeper into the eager explorer and going through all of the layers of what that is. And part of the journey of getting there is self-love and self-acceptance and taking a leap of faith. It's like when I love myself, I accept myself, and I am not rejecting this part of me anymore, and it's safe to be all of me. And I'm going to leap into the unknown, and I'm going to get really comfortable in the unknown, and I'm going to take a leap of faith. Maybe I'm going to book a trip, and I'm not going to have any plan, and I'm just going to let my intuition fully guide me the entire time. And I'm going to go on an experiment. And I'm going to see what happens. I'm going to start exploring my yes and my no, my boundaries. What does it really mean to say no? What does it mean to say yes? How do I live in alignment? It's the path of following manifestation. Like, I'm going to see what happens when I start listening to my intuition and what manifests out of thin air. Like, oh my gosh, I just walked down the street in India and I really was looking for a drum circle, and I heard drums, and I opened the door and they invited me into their drum circle, and it just happened to be a whole party that I got invited to. It's just like being in the presence and being in the yes frequency of following the hints of like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to ecstatic dance and dance like a wild banshee. Like, I'm going to be weird. I'm going to be wild. And I'm going to be surrounded by sisters that are also so uncomfortable and doing it anyways. And we're all going to do it together. And I'm going to go, and it's essentially really getting clear with your yes and your no, going on the path of the wild woman and discovering purpose, answering the question, who am I and why am I here? And getting really clear on who you're not, the conditioning, what your parents want you to be, what let's say society as a whole is just like projecting onto you of like, this is what beautiful is, this is what it means to be successful, this is what the definition of success is.
The programming. The programming. Deconditioning all the programming. Exactly. Going into the whole ancestral line and being like, well, what did her mother believe? Well, what did her mother believe? What did his father believe? What did his father believe? How did I get here? And why do I believe what I believe? And just choosing a new belief system. Mm-hmm. That's essentially the journey of this chapter. It's essentially going into all these different pieces and all these different parts and just like giving yourself permission to be free. And the whole thing you're dealing with is fear. Every single stage is dealing with something different. The Eager Explorer's challenge is overcoming fear constantly. So in the Soul Searcher, it's about overcoming rejection and judgment. And in stage 3 in the Eager Explorer, it's about fear, constantly dealing with fear, managing fear, and choosing it anyways. I'm scared, and I'm going to have courage. Wouldn't you say that every stage has its own main fears?
Every stage has a thing that it's battling. Yeah, so stage 3 is fear. Stage 2 is judgment. Stage 4 is being seen in authenticity, and playing small. Because once you know who you are and why you're here, then you have to be seen for it. You have to put yourself out there in a big way.
And take a risk.
Exactly. And you don't know how it's going to be received. It's the first time ever putting yourself out there. People might judge. And luckily you have a community of people, and the community is what gives that safety. Like, okay, well, at least I can share it with them.
Support.
Then I can share it publicly. Okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to continue being seen for my most authentic self. And yeah, it's a risk.
Can't wait for you to put it in a book. And I have someone for you who asked about publisher.
Yeah.
I have someone that released a book through publishing. I don't know if it will help you, but I can.
Oh my God, yes, I would love that. Yeah, I want to publish this in a white paper for psychology textbooks, because it kind of reminds me of like the Enneagram, and like the Enneagram got started in the 70s and kind of got spread throughout through getting published. So I kind of want to bring it in that route. And then I have a fiction book called The Chrysalis that's going to be a little bit more about adding my story and a little bit more mythology into it to bring people through a storytelling version.
I have a name for the book.
Oh yeah?
The Path of the Nerd. The enlightened path of the nerd. The nerdy way to enlightenment.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Totally.
Enlightenment for nerdies, yeah.
Totally. I love it.
You just got it, right?
Totally. I think my inner masculine might be a nerd. Gotta be. There's something there. Yeah.
So initially how you guys kind of met is because you said you're searching for some sort of a masculine coach or leader or something.
Yeah, I'm hosting the Devotional Love Summer Series. I just moved to Austin, and I'm excited to bring forward workshops for couples and singles based on relating. And so part of that is bringing forward a different masculine guide to support in that journey. And so I have, I'm going to bring it forward through the 7 stages. So I'm going to bring forward a different coach, who focuses on that stage specifically and bring forward a different practice so that everybody can experience all of the full spectrum of the 7 stages as it relates to intimacy and divine union, essentially. It's the path of inner union and divine union. Mm-hmm.
What stage do you think you fit in here?
I will need to see the stages written. When you talked about the last stage.
4 or 7.
The last one.
The humble servant.
Yes. You see, again, my face immediately shifts because when it comes to, different spiritual perspectives, I see a lot of them are trying to kind of bypass their humanity and moving on to the next stage so they will not have to reincarnate on this planet anymore.
Yeah.
I perceive it differently. For me, that would be escapism.
Yeah.
Because the souls that are here, they need help. So if one has the power to help them to choose to not reincarnate anymore, for me, it will be to abandoning, from a very high perspective, some parts of me that are physically coming to the planet. So I don't have the goal to stop my incarnations.
Yeah.
So yeah, he touched that spot.
I resonate with that a lot. I hear a lot of people say that. This is my last incarnation on this planet. And I think I feel very connected to the stage 7 as well. And the path of being in humble service and constantly giving the gift and seeing everything as a gift and continuously giving. It's really the space of ultimate generosity. And to be in a place of generosity is to be in overflow and to just continuously recognize if everything becomes a gift, everything also becomes overflow. So I feel very connected to that path. And I feel that with what you're saying as well, really accepting it as it is. Even through this podcast, I feel hints of stage 7 in the way that you're expressing it and going deeper into the feeling space and getting to that moment of that feeling and that sensation lands. That is also that stage 7 place of stillness and presence.
So yeah, I definitely have that, and I can tap into it at the same time. I can tap to pretty much all stages. And when you said about your model, I love the degree of holisticness, if that's even a word of it. Especially when you were mentioning the, not legacy, the heritage programming.
Yeah.
So when you mentioned that, I was like, okay, this is a high level of connectedness.
Mm-hmm.
And I also feel some excitement to have this physical manifestation in front of my face, to connect on a physical level with someone who is so connected to the sense of purpose and mission in life. It's to have that physically manifested or reflected in my reality shows me how much I've grown.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very grateful for that.
I love that.
And also have Rachel in this space with me, because we have been through a lot, and for both of us to reach to this point right now, it's very meaningful to me.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
And also the connection has been made through Rachel, not that I connected with in my own head.
Oh, really? Oh, maybe did you tag him on social media? There we go. Yeah, I posted about it on Facebook, and yeah, maybe you tagged you in it. How cool. Look at that. Yeah. And now we're here.
Here we are.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
You guys are such a good team.
Yeah.
You obliged, so. And you also agreed to come to my podcast, so it's connected. It's the experience. Here it is.
I love this. Oh my gosh.
And this is our first time doing it.
Oh yeah, I love that. Together or
in a podcast setting.
Oh yeah. My gosh, that's exciting.
Yes. That's why I love how Rachel said, "Oh, a new hobby."
Oh my god, this is so fun. Yeah, I have this thing where I tend to be people's firsts. Meaning, like,
of course, all the nerds.
Yeah, there was this retreat center. There was this place in Tulum that was like an off-grid community, and I was like, I want to host a retreat here. After I hosted a retreat there, they became a retreat center. That happens all the time. I'm like, I want to do this, and then they just become that thing. So I feel
you're like an activator.
I'm an activator. Wake up tomorrow in my wildest sense.
An initiator, an activator. It's like the first. So if this is the first, it means it's probably a thing. It's a pattern. Yeah. Exciting. Beautiful.
So, looking forward to the coming year, what would you say a thing that, if it would manifest in your life, it will bring you the most, fuck yes, I made it?
I made it, or career-wise, or anything, personal, anything? Wow, I mean, I could go pretty infinite with that one. I mean, in 1 year, right? In 1 year, you're saying? Or by the end of this year?
Something that you wish to happen, and it is not totally out of your reality.
Something that's already probably happening. Okay.
Or not probably happening, but you would want to happen, and it is realistic to happen.
Okay, great. Love that. Love the refinement of that. Because this is such I love working with manifestation, and sometimes I think that the way that I see manifestation is, it's almost like we're tuning into a future that has already manifested, and we're just kind of remembering it and allowing it to come into reality. And
to reiterate what you're saying, the way that I see it, there are all potentials happening all the time.
Yeah.
And the current consciousness that I'm speaking to
can tap into that.
Different timelines.
Yeah.
So, for example, about 20 minutes ago, I had such a strong sense of deja vu. My face went like this, like, what the fuck is happening? This is exactly what I've experienced. So I know this kind of sensation. And in my language, this is me shifting to another timeline.
Love that. Love that. Very, very exciting. Yeah. By the end of this year, I see myself working with couples in Austin that are in relationships for, let's say, like over a year, and ideally married. They don't have to be married, but my desire, because when I was in Tulum, I was working with a lot of people that were on their honeymoon and their anniversary. And they would come to Tulum to celebrate, and I would do a workshop with them and then do a couple ceremony with them. And I loved that flow. I love doing anniversaries. I love doing, celebration moments. Mm-hmm. And I also really desire to hold people over an extended period of time. And a lot of Tulum, the energy is like, we're going there for a purpose, like to celebrate something or for a short period of time. I really desire by the end of this year to hold couples over an extended period of time that are living in Austin permanently, full time. And that would feel really exciting for me to have like a full, like almost like community of couples that I'm like working with and doing exercises with and doing practices with regularly. And it would be a shift from, what I was doing because everything was the first time. Literally. And so, yeah, I was very fortunate in that way also because I got to meet a lot of new people constantly coming in and coming into the workshops. But I feel excited to build that more. So that feels really exciting. Can I say more than one or just one?
Only one.
Just you.
Okay, actually, that will be the first. You can say another one.
Okay.
But Rachel want to say something first.
Yeah, well, what are you trying to do with the couples? What is the goal, purpose?
Divine union is the ingredient. And for me, what that is really coming into a sense of inner union and connection with the divine in partnership with another, and both having that reference and creating an entire relationship based on that reference. So it's like when I am so deeply connected to myself and my connection with God is solid, and yours is too, and relating from that place and building a foundation of a relationship from that place with such clear visions for the future of what they're building together, such clear agreements on how they operate and what that looks like, and just like deep intimacy practices. Like most of the work I was doing in Tulum was really based in expanding intimacy and like expanding the communication. The ways of communication. So I was facilitating a lot of communication practices and giving tools and intimacy practices to expand what they know and how they communicate and how they express needs and desires and boundaries and all those things. I feel excited to do that, and I feel excited to bring it into a long-term focus and expand what that actually looks like and feels like. So yeah,
that sounds divine.
Yeah.
And totally. Seeing your level of excitement, I have no. I'm sure it's gonna happen.
Totally. Yes.
What brought you to Austin? Why Austin?
Austin's been on my radar for a while. It's the only place in all of America that during COVID, it attracted a lot of coaches and a lot of people. So it has the best community that I've seen. I know Nevada City has a community. I know Sedona has a community. I know there's different parts of the US, but Austin specifically is so focused on coaches and like people that are drawn, kind of have like a similar texture and feel to Tulum in a sense, which is why I loved it. And I was ready. I feel like I kind of graduated from Tulum. I was there for 5 years, and I called it sovereignty school, and I feel like I mastered the curriculum, and I feel complete, and I feel very ready for a new chapter. Yeah.
It's exciting.
Mm-hmm. In Austin. Also, the men here.
What man? Tell me, show me.
The men here they're super solid, and they're like so connected to God, and they're so like hot.
Where are you hanging out? In the months that you've been here?
I'll invite you. We'll go on some hangouts. They're everywhere.
I know, I see them. I just don't have access. I don't know why.
There we go. They're there. They're there. They're
So how does
there.
your romantic life look like at the moment?
I'm well, I actually have a date after this, but I'm intentionally single right now. I have been asked on dates, and I'm open to dating, but I feel like because I just moved here, I want to build my sisterhood. I want to really I have obviously my online business, The Chrysalis, but I really want to build my in-person offerings here and focus on me and my life for a while. About 9 months ago, I exited a really, really sacred partnership, and we were doing couples work together. And I feel like that was the most painful experience of my entire life to date. And I just now am feeling ready to date again. So I'm feeling like open, but single and loving it currently. Yeah. Yeah.
So if I understand correctly, there is a conscious decision to a degree to be single. At the same time, there is openness also that has just happened recently.
Yes, when I moved here.
When
I moved
here.
to Austin, I was like, when I was in Tulum, I felt I was saying goodbye during the last, 6 months that I was there. I was going to all my favorite places. I was having a bunch of goodbye parties. It was that place was so sacred for me. I became who I am today, and I grew up there, basically. I had my most tender moments in Tulum and my most expansive moments in Tulum. And so it was a journey of saying goodbye to all of that and really giving it honor and respect and going to the land and the ocean and just thanking the ocean and just being with the land and the energy of the place. And I felt it was time to leave, and it wasn't time to open a new anything. I wasn't trying to open up new relationships or anything. It was more a chapter of completion, and I knew when I came to Austin, it would be me opening again. And so when I came here, I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm ready to start dating again. I'm open to the exploration, and I'm also really enjoying it's when you come to a new place, it's everything's shiny. It's I have a dishwasher. I'm driving a car instead of a scooter. The grocery store has everything that you could need. In Mexico, that's not the case. I'm feeling excited to just be a human again. And I went on a date recently, and he took me into a comedy show, and I'm like, oh my God, it's we're going into this basement, and I am excited to just explore again.
Yeah, normal people activities.
Yeah, doing normal things. Tulum is very spiritual, so I wasn't doing any of that. It was a very different vibe.
I can definitely resonate with that because I've been in Copenhagen for the past year and a little bit.
Yeah.
In an island. So coming here is quite a shift.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, right before I came here, I was doing Vipassana and complete silence and stillness, and it was so peaceful. And then I'm like, wow, I'm on a highway. I need to reorient. So yeah, I feel excited to date, but also excited to just
celebrate life
and be single.
Mm-hmm.
And build. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to build.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Would you say that there is some side of you that says, if I'm in a relationship, it will not necessarily be in the best interest of me building?
Yeah, I feel a bit of distraction. I just go so deep. But I'm also open to it. I feel excited. It just has to be the right person. And I'm just getting to know. I don't want to rush anything. I want to take my time, go really slow, and just let the universe and divine timing bring whatever it wants to me. And I'm quite specific about what I'm calling in. And so I'll know it when I feel it. And right now I'm just haven't felt it. It's only been 3 weeks, but I'm open.
What is it?
Like the union that I'm seeking for my life.
So it hasn't manifested in your reality a person yet that you can look in his eyes and say, he's a divine union material?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And when was the last time that you felt that?
I mean, I felt that with every man that I have dated. I felt like a lot of yes. Like
when was the last time it happened?
Well, my last partnership, when I met him, I was like, I felt that he was the one. That's why it was so challenging, because I was like, oh, my whole being was saying yes to this. And it was a huge initiation for me. It was a big initiation for me. And it really brought me into radical acceptance and accepting life as it is, and presence, like the deepest level of presence, and really looking at that fantasy pattern and looking at like what's really here. So that was like February 2 years ago.
How long did the relationship last?
A year. Well, maybe a year and a half. It was a year and then a little bit more.
What was the relationship structure? Was it monogamous? Was it open?
Oh, completely. From the day one, he was like, my intention is not going to have sex with anyone that's not my wife. And so I want to set this up like we're moving in that like direction. And I was like, I'm fully on board, and I feel that too. Like I'm wanting that. And I felt that with him immediately. And I knew that, that it was like a soul connection.
And why did it end?
Well, that question that I brought forward, like, who am I and why am I here? I think he was anchoring that in his life. And for me, I was anchoring a lot of lessons around living in a fantasy, the illusion of relationship, really wanting it to work out and be the vision without looking at what is, like, what's really here.
What was the gap?
I mean, that, like, him knowing who he is and why he's here, that wasn't present.
Oh.
Yeah. That was a big one.
For a person like you?
Yeah, I know it's a big one. But that was also my gift to people for a while. That's why I went through an initiation. Yeah.
That makes sense.
It was a death. I went through a death after the breakup. A huge part of me died. That's also what inspired me to move to Austin. At the time that I did, I knew I was going to move here. It was just about timing. And it was like a lot of me had to die, and I had to really release attachment to the part of me that, there were so many parts of me that had to die. And I had to really like let go of so many patterns and so many attachments, and really become present for the first time, like really step into the present now. And that was like a new level of awareness that came through from the heartbreak and the grief. Like, the grief is an initiator. It's such an initiator. It strips away ego. And my ego was like getting stripped and ripped. And I was expanding my capacity to hold emotion, because I'd never felt so much grief. And my container needed to expand massively. So in that expansion, a lot of things died also.
Can you give me an example of a thing that died?
There was a part of me that was anxiously attached. I was moving through anxious attachment, and there were still parts of me that were codependent. And so the part of me that was still outsourcing my safety to a man, my sense of self-worth to whether a man was fully choosing me or not, Like if he wasn't a full yes to me, my confidence was shaken. If he was wavering in any way, it would disrupt my inner peace. And it was like my external reality was still dictating my internal world. And I literally needed to, like, the part of me that needed to die was the part of me that was externally sourced. The part of me that was sourcing from the external world and making it mean something about me, who I am and my worth. And that was a huge journey. It was a big one. That was like a big over umbrella, and under that was like 1,000 micro things that had to happen for that to happen.
So I have a question.
Yes.
How do you know that it's dead?
I don't. Well, there's no way to know for sure until I test it. That's the logical answer, right? Like data. But the intuitive answer is I did Vipassana right after we broke up, and then I did Vipassana right before I moved here. And in between that, we were doing a lot of inner child healings together. We were seeing if we wanted to get back together. We were healing together. We were forgiving each other. It was a process. The first time I did Vipassana, I had a really deep visceral experience of divine union. And it was so clear that I needed to prioritize God first and like really make that a priority. Like I've been living in, for 7 years, I've been living under a reference of, spirituality is coming first. I'm devoting my whole life to it essentially, but it shifted in Vipassana where it was like, no, like God first.
What does it mean, God first?
Like anytime I am choosing something or someone else before my own intuitive knowingness, I am self-abandoning.
So you're God in essence.
You're God?
You're God in essence.
Oh, it was, the realization that I'm God and I'm in union with myself.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, exactly.
And how did you kill the part? Like in your perception, how did that process look like?
After the first Vipassana, it was almost like I was getting initiated into stage 7. So it was like a huge journey for me. Part of stage 7 is letting go and releasing attachment. And I knew I was getting initiated because the whole time I was creating the curriculum, I was experiencing it. And I knew I hadn't fully experienced stage 7. And so, that's a side note. But I could feel it in my life because I was experiencing so much grief. And I was so dysregulated that it was like I couldn't even leave my house. My nervous system was shot. And it was just like so much grief, so much loss, so much challenge for losing the love of my life that I thought was going to be my husband because I created this story around it. And a huge part of this chapter was releasing attachment to story, releasing attachment to
fantasy,
the fairy tale, releasing attachment to the projection that I create on reality for a future that hasn't yet manifested, that I'm attached to because that's what I want. That's what my ego wants. Instead of being so present to what's actually showing up and accepting it as it is. And then when I did the second Vipassana, it was almost like that was an introduction. And then the second Vipassana, it was this felt sense like, oh, like I'm really embodying that and I'm really choosing that every day. And I don't have data to show me that, the pattern will or will not come up in a relationship, but my relationship to life is completely different than it was while I was in that relationship. And the relationship and the grief initiated me to experiencing that and my choice to do Vipassana and like to go on the path.
Did you choose to end the relationship?
Yeah, I did. I did choose to end it, and I knew that he wouldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was mutual.
A lot from you.
It was a lot. It was a shock for both of us.
Yeah.
It was a shock for me saying the words, and it was a shock for him hearing the words, and he accepted it quicker than I did.
It's very brave, and it sounds like you chose yourself.
Yeah.
In that scenario.
Yeah. For sure.
And to him, it came out of nowhere?
Kind of. I mean, it wasn't out of nowhere. I think I was just willing to accept reality. That's interesting. I think I was just willing to say the words and go through the pain because I wasn't scared of that. I think for him it may have been a shock because we were both under the impression that we were going to work through everything and we were going to be in it together. And I hit this moment where I was like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it right now, at least. And I also got a no. Like my yes turned to a no at one point. And, you know, he would have been someone that I would have wanted to do all of it with, like everything. Like I could see that part of me that was like really just like, yes, 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 like looking at all of the beautiful qualities in him. But the who am I and why am I here, because those questions weren't answered, it had a huge impact, and it was a no for me. It honestly was a no for me. Like, and I had patience for him, but the amount of dysregulation that it was causing wasn't worth it anymore for me. I was self-abandoning. And yeah, he needed to go on that journey by himself, honestly.
If someone doesn't have the why and the, what was the other one?
Who I am.
Like, who am I and why am I here?
Who am I and why am I here? Do you feel like it's unsafe for you?
I think it provided me it created safety at one point because it gave me value. Now it feels like a no. It doesn't feel unsafe. It feels like discerning no.
It's incompatible.
It's incompatible at this point. It's incompatible. It just feels like I know that in that phase, it's so important for a man to be by himself. That's my belief system. But after experiencing what I experienced, I think I would prefer for him to figure that out before meeting me. That's my desire. Because I think it would also heal the part of me that feels like I get value from that, and I would just be loved for who I am.
I'm so curious on how you will receive it when it happens.
Me too.
You think it's easy? Okay. Pretty sure it's not easy.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited.
But it's beautiful that you have this awareness and you really see. It sounds to me like you see very clearly. You see your system, you see yourself, you see the other.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, and I have a lot of patience and capacity, but at a certain point I feel the discernment takes precedent. It's like, oh yeah, no, this is for both of us actually. Yeah.